create setup sheets and NC programs for lathe. After completing this video, you'll be able to create an NC program, create a setup sheet, and post-process toolpaths. In Fusion 360, let's get started with the supplied dataset cam lathe simulation.f3d. Now that we have a setup and toolpaths, we can begin creating an NC program and get ready to post-process our toolpaths. We want to begin by making sure our setup is selected, go to Setup and create NC program. First thing that we need to do is select an appropriate machine. From Fusion 360's library, we want to begin by selecting the category Turning and select the vendor. I'm going to be using Haas Automation and taking a look at an ST10 machine and then selecting Select and Copy to My Posts. Once we have the machine selected, I'm going to change and overwrite my program number to 2001 and add a comment as Module Lathe. This information can come directly from the setup, but we can also overwrite it here if we want to change the information that is published on our NC program. Any changes that we might want to do for our post properties, you can come through and modify things like the controller, whether it's classic or NGC, whether or not it has a chip conveyor or live tooling. And once again, lathes specifically have a lot of variable configurations. So make sure that you are using a post for a machine that you have and that the settings do match your machine's available motions and specifications. If you toggle on settings that aren't supported by your specific machine or controller, likely it will throw warnings or errors. Once we have the post properties set up, under the operations, we can make sure that we select all operations, make sure that our work coordinate system or work offset is set correctly, and we can say OK. Now that we have an NC program saved, we can right-click and we can post-process this. When we post-process a lathe set of toolpaths, we need to verify the coordinate system, in this case G54. We also need to verify the tools being used, 202 for the first profile roughing, and we can verify things like the spindle speed. So G50 S6000 is going to let us know that that spindle speed is going to be our max. And then we're going to move on to creating our setup sheet. Once again, right-clicking, saving our setup sheet in the same location, and this is going to give us a configurable setup sheet. It lets us know the information about the design, the maximum spindle speed that we have set, the tools that we'll be using, the setup location for the WCS, and also each of the operations. You can once again print this out as a PDF or a physical copy to take to the machine with you. Once we have all of our toolpaths, we've post-processed, we've created our G-code that can be run at the machine, and we've created our setup sheet, we now have all the information to begin making this part a reality. Make sure that any changes are saved before you move on.